Welcome back to Good Sports for You, where we are talking about good sports for you. And today I have a super cool video for you. I am back home in Milwaukee for the holidays, and I found my grandfather's scrapbook from 1953, and there is a lot about baseball and the Milwaukee Braves. And for those of you who don't know, 1953 was the first season of the Milwaukee Braves in Milwaukee. So this was the first time that Milwaukee had true MLB baseball. Yes, they've had professional teams in the past and minor league teams, but this was the first time since the MLB was actually created that they had a team. And it's super cool looking at all these articles and hearing what they have to say about all the different players. So I wanted to share that with you today. But before we hop into it, I want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. And also, this is going to be a series because there's simply too much to talk about in this little book to put into one video, or else the video would be like an hour and a half long. And also, I want to give a big shout out to Nani and Pops, my grandparents. This is my grandfather's book, like I said. So the first pitcher that I want to talk about is going to be Johnny Antonelli, who was a dog pitcher back in the day. But here's what they have to say about him. After 2 years in the Army, which I'd like to note, there's going to be a lot of talk about the Army, about the war and stuff like that, because players were serving back then, unlike a lot of them do today right now, because, we don't have as big of a war going on in whatever country than we do, obviously, like World War II or the Korean War. So after 2 years in the Army, a $65,000 bonus pitcher, right, which is crazy that the bonus back then was $65,000, Johnny Antonelli is back and ready to prove he is worth every penny of the sum. Antonelli picked up experience with the Braves in 1948, 1949, and 1950. In the service, he won 42 games and lost 2. He'll be 23 April 22nd. So as we can see at Johnny Antonelli's stats, there was reason for people to be excited about him. He had definitely a lot of potential as a very young starting pitcher in Boston. And then in his time in his military career, it sounded like he did pretty solid. And in his sole season in Milwaukee, he pitched well with a 3.18 ERA, not a great win-loss record. But then the next season, he went to the New York Giants and was one of the best pitchers in the league with a 2.30 ERA, leading all of baseball with an ERA plus of 1.78. An ERA plus that will never be talked about in these books here, I'm telling you that right now. And he finished third in the MVP voting with 21 wins. When it comes to these articles, they're going to talk about wins, maybe talk about ERA, and they're actually going to bring up complete games a decent amount of times. And then for hitters, it's going to talk about average and home runs. And that is basically it. So Johnny Antonelli, yeah, he was deservedly hyped up. And honestly, though, the hype really was paid off in his time with the New York Giants and then the San Francisco Giants, where he was one of the best pitchers in the entire league. But the next player that we want to talk about is actually one of the best players of all time, and that is Eddie Matthews. In this article, it says, Ted McGrew, Boston Red Sox scout, puffed leisurely at a stogie as he watched a Husky Brave await his turn in the batter's box here the other day. First of all, get that kind of writing back in journalism. I love that. Quote, "There's the best young player the Braves have come up with in recent years," said McGrew, a former National League umpire, as Ed Matthews, pink-cheeked third baseman, came to bat. "That guy's got terrific power, runs good too." A little while later, Matthews lashed out a long hit. "See what I mean?" McGrew blurted. "Look at that ball roll." When the ball was retrieved, it was up against the 430-foot fence. 1 run had scored. Matthews was resting at third base. Matthews could easily be the outstanding long-distance driver in the National League, in the opinion of McGrew and other veteran judges. Last year, the Husky infielder, a left-handed batter, had a little difficulty solving southpaw pitching. Still, his mileage table... Need to go back to calling stats the mileage table. Sorry. Still, his mileage table included 25 home runs. 18 he belted off right-handers, 7 off lefties. In Grapefruit League competition this spring, he has been raising hob with southpaws, a healthy indication that he may finally be effective against them as against right-handers. Charlie Grimm was the manager for the Milwaukee Braves, but he used to be the manager for the Milwaukee Brewers, the minor league team. First saw Matthews in Milwaukee in mid-season of 1951. At that time, the Husky infielder had had only 1 full season of professional experience. He was crude afield. Many said he would never make the grade at third base. In fact, only last spring, Grimm, then manager of the Brewers, remarked, If the Braves send Matthews back to me this year, I'll either use him at first base or in the outfield. I'm afraid he can't play third. Grimm was wrong. Today, he admits it. So what's so cool about this was a young kid, basically 20 years old, Eddie Matthews, right? And they were talking about him, oh, he's a raw prospect, we'll see what he can do. But scouts are already talking about him like he is going to be the next big thing. And as we know, if you know your baseball history, he was the next big thing. He was one of the best players ever, putting up career 96 WAR, which is outstanding. Over 500 home runs on his career. He has a career 885 OPS, 143 OPS plus. And you'll never hear OPS plus be talked about in these books. I'm telling you that right now. So 43% better than the league average. It's funny too because the first season, he had a good rookie season. He put up 25 home runs like they talked about, but he struck out a lot with 115. And he finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting. So that's a pretty decent season. The next season, this coming season in 1953, he was one of the best players in the entire league, finishing second in MVP voting with 47 home runs, leading all of the MLB, batting .302. He got that strikeout rate way down, only striking out 83 times and walking 99 times, and leading the league in OPS plus, the National League. Now, there's another little snippet that they talk about Eddie Matthews, and what you'll notice about this is some of the journalism is a little bit off here, because listen to what they have to say. Players and critics who have been watching Eddie Matthews, Braves third baseman in spring training, are convinced that they're looking at one of the top sluggers of the next decade, which is 100% true. I mean, he had almost 300 home runs in the 1950s alone, and he didn't even play every single season, right? So, incredible player. So they are 100% right about that. Only 22. Going into this season, he was not 22. He was 21. So that's just a little piece of history. Matthews is a left-handed batter, is starting his second season with the Braves. Again, that's how I know that it's the second season, because it says the second season. And going into his second season with the Braves and in the MLB, he was going to be 21, right? While his batting average in 1952 was only .242, the young Texan hit 25 home runs. The total gave him a share of the club lead with Sid Gordon. He hit 3 home runs in one game, the first time that a National League rookie has performed the feat. He also topped Ralph Kiner's rookie total of 23 set in 1946. Ralph Kiner, again, Hall of Famer, is one of the best player ever. The remarkable part of Matthews' freshman record was that he hit 18 of the 25 homers off left-handed pitchers. That is not true. He hit 18 of his home runs off of right-handed pitchers. With a better balanced batting order this season, the Braves should not face quite as many southpaw pitchers, and Matthews should profit. Again, this is what I'm saying. So if he allegedly hit 18 of the 25 home runs off of left-handed pitchers, shouldn't he be good against left-handed pitchers? Clearly, this writer just meant to put right-handed pitchers instead of left-handed pitchers, because he did struggle against lefties in that first season. Typical of a slugger, Matthews led the National League in strikeouts with 115. He has a slingshot throwing arm. Matthews is 6 feet, 1.5 inches tall, and weighs 198 pounds. He is a native of Texarkana, Texas. So they're telling you where he's from, how much he weighs, how tall he is, and all that jazz. And like I said, now, some of the writing in here isn't 100% accurate, but it is so cool to basically see that already writers from this era were talking about Eddie Matthews like he was going to be one of the next great players, and he absolutely was. Now, the only sad part about this is that this came out, and all these writings came out before Hank Aaron joined the team, unfortunately, or else I cannot believe what they were saying about him, because Eddie Matthews, I think, got frequently overshadowed by just how good Hank Aaron was. That's one of the reasons why I don't think that Eddie Matthews was a first ballot Hall of Famer, even though he was 100% deserving to do so. He was like a third or fourth ballot or something like that. But that is all I got for you guys right now. I hope you enjoyed me talking a little bit about this old scrapbook. I absolutely love looking back at history. I'm a huge history fan, and I'm a huge baseball fan, so I'm so glad that I could share that all with you, obviously. But be sure to come back for part 2. Be looking for that out later this week. I cannot wait to share all the exciting stuff, because there are so many more players to go over and so many cool things and stats, including something that was actually from a newspaper in 1957 when the Braves won it all. But be sure to come back for all of that. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. That is all I got for you, and I'm out. Peace.